Hey everyone, Ashley here. Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies, and welcome to my review of Babylon. The film is directed by Damien Chazelle, who many of you may know from his work on films like La La Land and one of my favorites, Whiplash. Set in the 1920s, Babylon follows the rise and fall of multiple characters as they navigate changes in Hollywood. Now, before I get into the review, a few things. If you like the channel, please subscribe by hitting that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Also, hit that notification button so you don't miss any of the videos I'm posting. Time for the review. Babylon is a loud, chaotic, over-the-top mess of a movie. It's both frustrating and fascinating in its depictions of 1920s Hollywood, the Hollywood system, and all the different kinds of characters that come in and out of this story. It's flawed, but it also has a lot of really amazing artistry on display. Now, Babylon is a well-acted film. It has Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, and Diego Calva, and each of those actors do such an amazing job with their characters. Margot Robbie plays Nellie Leroy, who is very ambitious. She really wants to be a star in Hollywood, and she will do pretty much anything to achieve that goal. And Margot Robbie is just amazing to watch because Nellie is a very complicated character. She's kind of all over the place. In many ways, very similar to how the story is. Like the story is kind of all over the place, and Nellie's kind of all over the place, and she gets very involved in the drunkenness, debauchery, the wildness of this world as she's trying to make a name for herself in Hollywood. And Margot Robbie, again, great actor who really captures the spirit of this type of character. Then you have Brad Pitt, who's playing a character named Jack Conrad, who is this, old school Hollywood type. He is from the silent era, and as the movie, over the course of the movie, it's going through the change from silent era to talkies, right? And so he is struggling with that transition. He is this bona fide movie star, a womanizer. He lives in excess, and so it was fascinating to watch. Brad Pitt play this type of character. He does it so well. Someone who is charming, but also kind of a jerk. And then you have Diego Calva, who's playing a character named Manny Torres, who along with Margot Robbie's character, is trying to find his place in Hollywood. Like, he also has ambitions, Hollywood dreams. And, he's an outsider trying to make his way in, get his foot in the door. And he really is, I think, of all the characters in this movie, probably the most sane and level-headed at times. And Diego Calva does such a great job of portraying that character. Babylon is also a well-crafted film, and cinematography is amazing. There's some really great set pieces in this film, some really interesting and well-executed editing choices in this movie. But now we're getting to Babylon's a frustrating movie part of the review. The film itself is just sort of tonally all over the place. And, it starts off with so much momentum and energy going into it. And you kind of think, okay, this is setting the tone for what's to come. And it does in a lot of ways. But the film can't decide what exactly the type of movie it wants to be. And, there were moments in this movie that work so well, with a lot of the choices that Chazelle makes. And then there are other times where you think you should have probably not done that, right? It seems like you're doing too much of that and it's distracting. Earlier in my review, I mentioned Whiplash, right? It's one of my favorites. I love that movie. It's a great movie. And there's a lot of anxiety and tension in that movie. And a lot of that comes from not only what the character is dealing with, but how that's shown through editing and sound, music, right? And so there's a lot of those quick pans and there's a lot of quick cuts, right, to kind of create that tension. And Chazelle uses a lot of those techniques in Babylon, and at times it's used to great effect. An example of that in the film is Margot Robbie's character, Nellie, has made her way onto a set. She has a part, and they're trying to film a scene. At this point in the story, they're making that transition into talkies, right? So sound is very important. And so there's a lot of anxiety going into shooting this particular scene because so many things are happening and they need everything to work perfectly in order to get it done. And there's a lot of quick cuts between characters talking to each other, quick close-ups of certain elements around the set. And as that scene plays out, I was definitely on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, are they gonna get this scene filmed? Because things would happen, and it's like, okay, we gotta start again, and then they would do it again, and so it was just building this tension, and the way that it was shot, this entire sequence was just brilliant. It was great, but then that technique is also used in other parts of the film, and you think, okay, this is just a little too much. It's just a little too much. And there's just a lot going on in this movie, and the story, and with the characters. And, even from the beginning and throughout the film, there's all these instances of characters talking over each other, multiple characters talking at the same time, multiple conversations happening in the same scene at the same time, all these quick edits and cuts, going from this person to this person, back to this person, the music. Although I did love the score in this movie, the jazzy sound that this movie employs, there are times where the music overpowers a lot of the scenes to the point where I couldn't really hear what the characters were saying. But again, that gives you an idea of sort of the chaotic, hectic nature of this film. And again, sometimes that hectic, chaotic, wild feeling works really well for certain parts of this movie and for certain parts of the story. And then other times it just feels like it's just too much. Look, I can appreciate that Damien Chazelle was doing something very ambitious. I do appreciate that he took a more unflattering look at this era of Hollywood versus just focusing on the glitz and the glamour. Like, there's a lot of debauchery in this movie, a lot of excess. There are characters who are just deeply, deeply flawed and problematic. And I can appreciate that he was trying to take a look at that and the commentary he was trying to make on that. But ultimately, it feels like in many ways with Babylon, Chazelle was going more for shock value and less on artistry. And there's some really great filmmaking happening here in this movie, not just on Damien Chazelle's part, but also within the story itself. Like, again, this is a film about Hollywood and making movies. And when the film focuses on that part of the story, it's just amazing. So that's my review of Babylon. If you've had a chance to watch the film and you want to share your thoughts, you can do so in the comment section below. While you're here, like this video, hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this.